Close your eyes for a moment and imagine a single sampot, a length of cloth, folded on a grandmother's shelf. The weave is slightly uneven where a careful hand corrected a thread. The colors have softened from repeated washing. A small stitch marks the place a daughter once mended it in secret. What stories would that cloth tell?
Welcome to Ancient Echoes, where we dive deep into the heart of Cambodian culture and history. I'm your host, Samnang Bradley. Together with my co-host, Rachana Solve, we'll follow the threads that connect craft, community, and memory. Over the next hour, we'll trace the history and living practice of Khmer textiles, from silk and sericulture to ikat and ceremonial motifs, so you can see how cloth carries identity across generations. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
As we explore, we'll place textiles within Cambodian culture and Khmer heritage, using terms you might search for, like Khmer textiles, Cambodian weaving traditions, and history of Angkoric cloth. The layers matter. Textiles are not just objects, they're social records.
Section 1. Context, Materials, and Early Technologies. Let's begin with why textiles matter. Archaeologists have found fragments and iconography from Angkor that suggest cloth was central to ritual life, status, and daily practice. Cloth appears on temple reliefs, and written sources reference local dye plants and trade in fine silks. That tells us Khmer textiles have deep roots in Cambodian history and material culture. At the heart of Khmer weaving is the raw material, silk and cotton, and the technologies that turn fiber into cloth. Sericulture, the raising of silkworms, was historically a household skill in many regions. Mulberry trees, careful rearing of larvae, and skilled reeling produced the fine silk threads that became prized garments. Cotton, too, remained important for everyday cloth, sturdier, easier to dye with local plants, and widely used for utilitarian pieces.
Natural dyes deserve attention. Plants such as indigo, madder, and local tannin-rich barks gave color. Certain flowers and roots produced delicate shades. The dye process combines botanical knowledge and timing. Mordants, water quality, and even the season affect hue. This is knowledge passed between generations. Women's circles, village elders, apprenticeship systems. Again, showing how textiles are living knowledge systems.
Tools shaped what was possible. Backstrap looms, light, mobile, tied around the weaver's waist, allowed household weaving and fine control for patterned ikat. Treadle looms, when available, offered speed and wider cloth widths, useful for sampots and ceremonial fabrics. Each loom type carries social meaning. A backstrap loom often signals domestic transmission of skill, while larger workshop looms indicate market production and cooperative work. Section 2. Weaving Techniques, Motifs, and Symbolism. Technique is language. Ikat resist dyeing ties patterns into threads before weaving. The blurred edges you see in classic ikat speak to intentionality and the skill of the dyer and weaver working together. Supplementary weft techniques add floating threads of gold or colored silk that build elaborate motifs, flora, geometric bands, or stylized animals.
Listen closely to what motifs tell us. A recurring motif might mark a region. Certain Khmer provinces favor certain star flowers or temple-inspired cartouches. Other patterns are gendered. Some bands appear primarily in women's ceremonial sampots, signaling marital status or a rite of passage. In the scholarly sense, textiles function as wearable narratives: birth, marriage, harvest, mourning, each cloth holding meaning for the wearer and their community.
Consider how motifs transform as they cross time. A motif seen on a 12th century relief might reemerge centuries later in a regional sash, altered, adapted, meaningful in a new context. That pattern of continuity and change is central to Khmer heritage. The evidence shows us that we cannot reduce these designs to mere decoration. They are maps of memory. Section 3. living traditions, contemporary practice, and how you can engage. Today, Cambodian weavers balance preservation and innovation. Artisan cooperatives in provinces and diaspora communities in cities like Phnom Penh and abroad use training programs to sustain skills while finding new markets. Revival projects work with museums and cultural educators to document techniques and motifs ethically.
We should be careful here. Commodifying sacred designs or reproducing ritual cloth without community permission harms cultural meaning. So how can listeners engage respectfully? First, look for provenance. Who made the cloth, where, and under what terms? Support cooperatives that pay fair wages and provide training. Seek out museum exhibits and Samnang's visual guides if you want to see detailed imagery. For complex patterns, seeing is essential.
When shopping or learning, ask questions. Is the silk hand-reared? Are natural dyes used? Does the cooperative share its history? These are simple, respectful prompts that help center the maker. If you share photos of textiles on social media, credit the artisan or cooperative and use tags like #Khmer Textiles or #Cambodian culture to amplify authentic voices.
A quick practical tip. Take photos of weave structures, selvages, and motifs rather than whole garments if you want to discuss technique online. Those details help scholars and artisans identify method without reducing a community's cultural expression to a novelty. The cultural significance is not always visible at first glance. That's where learning and listening come in.
Before we wrap, let's summarize what we've uncovered. Textiles are made from materials, silk, cotton, dyes, but they're also made from relationships, the knowledge shared between mother and daughter, the cooperative meetings where designs are negotiated, the markets where cloth finds new life. Khmer textiles encode history, social belonging, and adaptation. The beauty is in the details, and the responsibility is in how we honor those details.
If you'd like to go deeper, visit the show notes for links to museum collections, vetted cooperatives, and Samnang's YouTube channel for close-up visuals of weaving techniques and motif libraries. The research tells us that combining auditory storytelling with visual study gives a fuller appreciation, so please explore those resources.
If this episode opened a new window for you into Cambodian culture, please follow Ancient Echoes on your favorite podcast app. Share a photo or a reflection. Tag us with #Ancient Echoes and #Khmer Textiles so our community can see how these stories echo in your life. Don't forget to check out my YouTube channel for close-up videos of looms, dyes, and motifs. Your engagement helps support ethical makers and keeps these traditions alive.
That brings us to the end of this episode of Ancient Echoes. We hope these stories helped you see Cambodian history and culture in a deeper, more human way. The deeper story is about people holding knowledge in their hands. This is significant because textile practice is how communities remember.
The echoes of the past live on in people's voices, memories, and everyday lives. Thank you for listening and for making space for these stories. You can also connect with us and share your own stories or questions at our social handles and website. Links are in the show notes. Let's unlock the echoes of history together.
Until next time, thank you for listening to Ancient Echoes.
In the quiet of night, I whispered my plea, holding her close, hoping for her decree. I called upon spirits, asked them to guide, to take her heart and lead her by my side. So I drew her near, traced her brow so fair on my sight this way. Sacred power, swai, mighty spirit awaken. By the master's right, let her heart be gently taken. Let her follow me now by vow and by sign. I hear these words, oh teacher, witness this plea. Oh, my sacred power, why?